So if you heard our song Fight for Peace in Part 1, you heard about our struggle at the time and the story behind the lyrics. But there's a deeper layer to that season that we haven't unpacked yet. We thought we were fighting for success. We thought we were fighting for peace. But looking back, even though we were busy fighting battles, we were losing the war. Today, we're diving into the lessons that we learned the hard way.
Yeah.
The traps, the blind spots, and the moment we realized we had to stop fighting.
I'm gonna fight like a champ, not a wannabe. Live like the dream is all that I can see.
So welcome back. We're going to pick it up from where we left off in our last episode. And so if you missed part 1, we hope you'll go back and check it out.
Yes.
Before we go on, we want to remind you to subscribe
Yep.
and get notifications about upcoming conversations.
Yes.
So in this episode, this conversation, we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive, as Lang mentioned, of some of the circumstances, thoughts, and reflections on what was going on at the time. And I want to tell you guys a little story. I'm going to do a little story here, little story time.
Go for it.
I mentioned this in the first episode about being at the Grammys, but prior to us getting our record deal, I had been traveling with Amy on her Heart in Motion tour.
Yeah.
And she had a hit song, Baby Baby.
Oh, yeah.
And
I like that song. It's a good song.
Which meant we, the whole band,
Yeah.
were invited to go to the Grammys and perform the song "Baby Baby." It was really cool. I got a few little things I want to stick in there. Number one was James Brown. No, that was the wrong Grammys. Okay, sorry. Never mind. Scratch. Sorry. Okay. I'll tell that story another time. But at this one, I was sitting backstage. They had a back kind of green room area, had a bunch of snacks, and
People just hanging out.
Yeah, people hanging out. Now, most of the people hanging out down there were not the artists. The artists were upstairs sitting in the venue for the Grammys.
Oh, okay,
And then
gotcha.
they had TVs and stuff, just trying to paint a picture here what it was like. They had TVs and stuff downstairs, and then when it was time for an artist to perform, the backup singers and the musicians and whoever else they had would go up and get ready to do their part.
Right.
So I was sitting in this little lounge area, and I was sitting listening to these group of people talking, and they all had Irish accents.
Yeah.
Right? And I wasn't like eavesdropping, they were just talking, and these were the musicians and the singers that were with the band The Commitments.
Oh my gosh.
Do you remember that?
Yes,
I don't know if you guys remember that, but
that was a great movie.
they were really huge at the time.
Yeah.
And actually, flipping through some movies the other night, that movie came up, The Commitments. It
We
was
might
like,
have
oh
to
my gosh,
watch
I can't believe that. Anyway, so they're talking and stuff, and I overheard one of them say, I don't know if I'm going to have a job when I get back home. And I was like, wow. I mean, I was a little taken back by that. But then what popped in my head right at that moment was, and I didn't say it out loud, I didn't know these people, but I was thinking, I don't know if we're going to have a house when I get back home.
Yeah.
Because we're going through a really tough period of time. And so that was the raw truth of what was going on.
Yeah.
Just being real here. But the point is that music can be very puzzling because it can look so huge and so big.
Yeah.
When you're looking at it from the outside looking in, it can look like everybody's successful. You certainly don't expect to hear somebody, they don't know if they're going to have a job when they get home.
Right.
Right. And so, but we were in that exact same situation that I heard those folks talking about being in, and we found ourselves in at the time. And so the very first point we want to make about this is that success is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And Lang's going to take it from here and talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So if you're working on a dream, the challenge is that prior success is a great thing. It helps teach you about what to do, how to succeed, even in your future. But success is also a double-edged sword from the fact or the paradigm that it creates this way of doing things that you feel like and it restricts new ideas from coming to you, and you keep away those ideas and how to approach that same thing, that you may be doing for a long time, and you're cutting these ideas out, So we're going to talk a little bit about how to break out of those restrictions and listen to God, and fulfill the thing He's called you to, and maybe you're in a new phase of that pursuit, So, there are so many stories in the Bible about how God led the Israelites to do things that made no sense in the natural. You're just going, how in the what? I'm thinking of that story of Gideon and the 300 men. In that story, there are 3 or 4 things that happen that you're just going he had to have listened to God, because in the natural, none of that made sense.
Right.
So I'm just going to suggest go read Judges 7, get the whole story. You probably already know that, but and the deal is that Gideon was being told things that the Israelites, as far as an army goes, had never been told before.
Right.
And it would be very natural for him to go, no, that's not the way it's done, And so, but the deal is, if they did not follow God's direction, they were going to experience defeat. And, when you're experienced like we were, in what we were involved in the music industry, at the level that we were at, it created these ideas about how things work. We learned how were artists successful. We learned the way that the music industry, the record industry operated.
Right.
We really wanted to be successful, so we wanted to do those things. We wanted to follow that.
Right.
And there were people who were really good, at what they did. We had an enormous respect for them. I'm thinking, just others. There were songwriters, unbelievable songwriters. Producers, musicians, people in the music industry.
Right.
Managers, bookers, PR people, marketing people, and it set up all these rules, and we saw it work. We saw it succeed. And in your thing that you do, you probably know the rules. But the problem is, if you keep following those things, even in the natural, the record industry is nothing like it was when we were in it.
Well,
and so if you tried saying, well, no, it's got to be this way, you're not gonna succeed.
Well, and not just in music, it's that we have a world that's in constant fluctuation.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
It feels like sometimes it's like a moving target.
Well, yeah. Even when you do the right things,
Right.
it doesn't work frequently.
Yeah. And I think that, in talking, just, being reminded that it's the downfall is when you're so entrenched in a way that something works. Because when you have new ideas that come to you, if there are new ways of doing things that maybe you haven't done before that are coming to you, you're going to completely miss it because you're focused like a laser on this one thing.
Yeah.
And, we were there.
Yeah.
I mean, we were there in our personal life.
Yeah.
Changes were happening.
Yeah.
There were things outside of us that were changing the way things were done. And really, it felt many times like it was trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. And so this leads us to point number 2, that you have to have a heart willing to hear God.
Yeah.
Simple. I mean, there's no way Gideon could have done or
if
followed
he wasn't
those
listening,
if he wasn't listening and willing to
do it. Exactly.
Yeah. And so really the compelling thing is that there were things in our heart that were completely not in that realm. We were not in the mindset of being able to hear and pivot and make a change.
That's it.
And there were things that I believe that God was trying to stir up at the time to get us to move in a different direction or try something different, get rid of something. And we just were not able to hear it. It was like, well, that's really nice, God, but that's not going to work for the situation, as if we somehow know better, which is, anyway.
That's really nice, God, but yeah, we got it. Thank you.
We
Wrong.
I mean, we just couldn't see it. We couldn't figure
gosh.
out how it would work and didn't even believe that those ideas were even worth contemplating.
Yeah.
You know, the patience of God just blows
Oh
my
my gosh.
mind. He's so patient and
So
so
good.
The long suffering and the kindness that he extends.
so
now, I look back on that now and I can clearly see it. We realize that honestly, we were not letting God have that kind of influence in our lives.
Yeah.
We just weren't. We were so entrenched, so like this, we could not hear what we heard years later.
Yeah.
Which could have made the biggest difference in that situation.
Yep. Yep.
And it's because we valued what the world had to say
Yep.
about success over what
Over
God
God.
has to say about it.
Yep.
And let's be frankly honest, we valued what the Christian music industry had to say was successful over what God had to
Right.
say was successful. And it doesn't mean that. Now, let me just say this, because there have been many, many people who have had great success in the pop market that are believers.
Yeah.
You know, God's not against that. You know, God could lead anybody into worldly and huge success. That's not in itself is wrong, but we have to. All of that stuff really has to come through Him.
Yeah.
You know, and we have to be able to hear ideas that God is bringing in, and not act like we're some kind of slave that's being told, you know, this is the way it's done, and if you don't do it this way, then we're not going to work with you. I mean, we were told that.
Yeah. Yep.
Frankly honest, we were told that. That's what the music industry said back then. And I think this applies to, it doesn't apply just to
Yeah,
the
it's not
music
just the-
industry.
yeah.
It just applies
It's
to
anything.
anything. Yeah.
You know, we were looking all the externals rather than looking inside to the Lord, and that was frustrating
Yeah.
because you're not listening for His voice, and then what happens is impatience kicks in.
Right.
You know, and which was one reason why it wasn't working.
Right.
Is because you start getting impatient. You know, it reminds me of the story, you know, of David being confronted by Nathan in 2 Samuel 12. Sometimes you have to be confronted to see what you're blind to. And if you get a chance, that story is about David being oblivious to how he had sinned. And Nathan came in with a story that he got really mad about this. And just read it. It's great. It's in
But I wanna
2
say-
Samuel 12.
Yeah, I want to say something too. That was a very obvious mess up.
Yes.
Sometimes you can be doing right things.
Oh, yeah.
But focused in the wrong place.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
And-
I don't mean that
No.
as the only viewpoint.
No.
I just more meant that was like he was so deceived
It was sort of
about
like
truth that he couldn't even. When Nathan was sharing the story and he finally has to say, "You're that man," before David goes,
Yeah.
you know, like, "Oh my
It was
gosh,
a little bit of a
that
shock and
was
awe
me?"
thing.
Yeah, and then he realized, then he got the point. You know?
Yeah.
But that leads us to point number 3, and this is you have to believe that His ways are better than yours.
Yes.
You know, and by following Him, it's going to be better for everybody involved.
Right.
You know, it's not just for you. Your choosing to do things your own way can be causing a whole lot of other people problems that you may not even be aware of.
Right.
You know, the other frustration on the spiritual side of things is that we were trying to, I'm not going to be corny here, but we were trying to fight through battles on our own and do it in our own strength, you know, and there has to be this foundational spiritual sort of settling in your heart, you know, that has to come before change can occur. You have to kind of say, okay, I'm going to settle this in my heart, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to run after this in my own strength. Now, and here's the deal, you know, this may be a decision, a choice, a phrase you have to speak to yourself way more than once, and it doesn't get settled in just one time. But this is a constant choice. But as you choose that, your heart begins to settle into that place of peace with it all, you know.
Right.
And we were just kind of, we were completely missing so much because that was not done. We ran down that road so many times because I kept thinking, if I just do it this way, this next time, it's going to work.
Right.
And we had to come to the end of ourselves with that.
Yeah, we really did.
You know, unfortunately, failure becomes a big motivator.
Yeah.
And that's when you start asking the questions like, why? How come this didn't work? You know, those kinds of questions.
Yeah.
It's a failure like a plane going to the ground. You know,
Yeah.
it's like when you finally, you know, there's no doubt it's crash and burn. You know, it's like there's no coming back from this, that you finally go, blah, 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 blah,
Right.
you know. You don't, but here's the good news. You don't have to come to that place, you know. What if you stopped short of all of that and thought, you know, God, I'm gonna listen to you. I'm gonna follow you. I'm gonna obey you.
Right.
You know, then, man, I know that God wants to help us avoid so many so much pain, so many problems, you know. In our case, you know, sad to say, we didn't come to all of that until years later. But,
yeah.
You know.
But at least we came to that place.
Yes.
You know, and that's the, you know, you can get real, I'll just say this, you can get real caught up in like, oh, I wish I would have known this earlier, and rehash all the things that you should have done, or what if I had done this, would that have made the difference? And it's not even worth even going there.
No.
It's not. You just have to pick up from where you are with what you have, with what you know.
Yeah.
The things that you've learned, the new things that you're learning, and you just have to keep moving forward in it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, so if you think about, here's a great story sort of the flip side, the opposite end of the spectrum, the willingness is think about Luke chapter 5, where Jesus comes to Peter and the guy is in the boat, and he tells him to drop his nets again for a great catch. And Peter was worn out, did not want to do it, but he said, okay.
Kind of was like, you kind of get the impression he was going, okay.
Yeah.
Not like,
not completely disrespectfully.
I don't think he realized who Jesus was at that moment. He was just kind of doing it. Maybe he did. I don't know. We don't really know.
That's the feeling.
It was sort of like, okay, you know, I'll do it. But
and so he does it.
Right.
And bada bing, bada boom. You know, the miracle of all miracles. You know, incredible. Caught so many fish.
Yeah.
You know, we kind of were focused so much on the nets that we already had, and the industry rules we already knew, that we missed the instruction. You know, to drop them again. Do it on the other side of the boat, though. You know,
right?
Who knows what the Lord might show you? You know, if you're willing to listen.
Right.
And I'm gonna guess that if you're bothering to watch this, you probably have a heart that you want to follow God. If you're listening to us yak here at the table every week, you know, you're probably going, okay, I want to know God more. I want to follow Him. So I'm betting that. But hopefully we're going to help you avoid some of the stuff that we did that was so wonky, you know, and you won't have to learn through kind of the hard way that we did. Well, let me say that. Let's just take a break right here. There's another piece to this puzzle. That thing that finally occurred unlocked the rest that we were fighting for. Yeah. And we finally started to get that peace and that rest. So in part 3, we're going to talk about the scripture that really hit us hard, you know, in a good way. The one that showed us that we didn't have to fight for peace, but fight from it. So make sure you're subscribed, and so you don't miss it. We'll see you coming up in part 3. See you soon.